Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another training session held on behalf of GoPro Trading Academy by yours truly, Ian Giffen. So today we are going to be discussing another MT4 topic, which is the use of profiles and how you can use them to make your life a heck of a lot easier. So before I jump into that, well, there's been quite a lot of questions around MT4 usage. Some folks have come from slightly more automated environments. But having said that, it is an essential part of your skill set to develop your knowledge and ability to use a proper trading platform. MT4 is great because it is ubiquitous. You can get a free copy from just about any retail broker. Not that that means that all brokers are good, not at all. We've spoken about that before. Uh, about 19 out of 20 brokers on average are going to be looking to crook you out of your money. And that's, of course, why we've also got our broker selection guide for you to ensure that you don't fall into that trap. But either way, if you've got a good broker and they do offer MT4, then there is absolutely no problem with using the MT4 platform. And it's really, really important that you learn how to use it. So we've got a couple of training sessions already completed. One which is to install your MT4 platform properly. That is available both in our Facebook group and now also in our YouTube channel. For those of you who are full Academy members, you will see it in the technical analysis skill set section, right up at the top in under the beginner stuff. So please do make sure that you go through those. If you've got any questions on them as well, you're welcome to post them anywhere. You can post them in the Academy and in the comments in YouTube or in Facebook. All right, so moving on then to today's topic. I'm assuming that you've already set up your platform correctly. And once you get to that point, you will have, or you can have a situation where you've got a completely blank screen and absolutely no profiles or templates set up. Now, I know in previous training, I did cover some of that. I'm going to do a quick recap on that so that if you are still battling with it, or if you haven't been through that training, then you can see exactly what you need to do right here. So first things first, you will notice that I've deleted any open charts. I've also gone ahead and deleted any of the standard profiles. Now, if you want to see what profiles you've got on your platform currently, then you can go to File, Profiles, just like that. And you'll notice I've only got the default profile available. You can also find it down the bottom here. You'll see it says default. If I tap on that, you'll notice it only has the default profile, and then there's a button on the bar over here where you can click on it and it says exactly the same thing. So there's quite a few ways to check what profiles you've got. You can, well, I won't be able to do it now because I don't have any deletable profiles as I've gotten rid of all of them. But for most of you, you will notice that you do have an option to remove profile, and you can just go through those other ones that are there by default and get rid of them. They are no use to man or beast. All right. So once you've gotten to that point, you can start with a completely clean slate as we have here and get going to set up your profiles in a way that's going to be of real use to you. The first thing to do before you do that is to get your market watch set up. This is essential before you can really get going with your profile. So if you click on the little button just to the right of the profiles one, the one that's got two little arrows, one going up, one going down, that will open up your market watch. Now, it'll look different from mine, no question about it, because I've already got mine set up on this platform. But you will need to get yours done. Now, when you set up your market watch, this is where you also determine which instruments you are going to be trading. And you should know by now as well that you need to determine the list of instruments that you're going to be trading in advance of starting to trade. It's part of consistency. The ability to be consistent means you don't chop and change. You don't decide one day because you can't see much happening on the currency pairs that you're going to trade the S&P 500 or oil or gold. You need to have those instruments as part of your trading plan in advance. That doesn't mean you don't update your trading plan periodically, let's say once a quarter, but you don't chop and change. So what I've got here, first and foremost, is a list of all 28 currency pairs that we do our analysis on. And if you're on my market watch, you'll know what all of those are. I've also got gold, seal oil. I've got US oil as well at the bottom. Just for interest's sake, I like to keep an eye on the South African rand. Helps me to know how much of a pay rise I get every time the rand depreciates. I've got a few commodities and a few indices as well. And I like to keep an eye on what my growing stash of Bitcoin is worth as well, which has done quite well for us. So that is pretty much it for me. Now, I don't recommend, especially when you're starting out, that you go for all of these non-currency instruments. It's really important when you start out that you just get the hang of trading with the currencies, the highest liquidity instruments in the world. If you want to add anything on after that, you can start with gold and oil. Not all brokers will have that. For those of you on the evaluation account, so the funded account, you will know that you've only got currency pairs. That list does expand once you pass the evaluation phase, but nevertheless, it's not a very extensive list. It's also quite useful to keep tabs on some of these. So if you're just keeping an instrument in there just for information purposes like I do, that's also fine. But don't be tempted then to trade something like the rand, which doesn't have great liquidity. There's nothing wrong with trading Bitcoin. For those of you who were attending our training through to the end of last year, you'll know that certainly we made a lot of money just on the trading of Bitcoin, never mind the fact that we also own Bitcoin. So that's really important. The indices, you'll know, the only ones that I ever really look at are the main US indices. And we tend to only trade our strategies there, except for possibly overlay, in a bullish direction. Certainly core strategies need to be traded there a bit differently. But that's another topic. If you don't have the instruments that you want in your market watch, you need to just right click anywhere in the market watch to bring up this context menu, and then you drop down to symbols. And as you can see, there's also a hotkey Control U. You bring up that context menu. Now, depending on your broker, this list will be different. Okay, so you just need to go through their subcategories and find the instruments that you want. You will notice that I'm not interested in any currency pairs that are any more exotic than using the top 8 currencies that we trade with. So if something has been selected, you'll see that the little dollar box on the left is a gold color. If it's unselected, it's grayed out. And there's quite a long list of instruments that I don't trade. And in particular, when it comes to the more exotic currency pairs, there's quite a lot that this broker has. For those of you guys who are trading a small personal account, many of you are using this now, and you'll, I'm sure, agree with me that it's a fantastic broker. And it certainly has helped people in their trading journey to be able to start trading a small live account successfully. They do have quite a big list of instruments that you could choose from, but I really recommend that you just focus on the main currency pairs and possibly just a couple of these other instruments, as I've pointed out. All right, so if you want to select something, just double click on it. I don't really want to trade the Polish zloty, but by having clicked on it, you'll see it's actually added it to the bottom of that list. If I want to get rid of anything, I can just hit the delete key, or I can get rid of it by doing it that way, or I can just go to symbols and double click on that again to unselect it. All right, so once you've got that, you need to then get them in the right order. This is just basic housekeeping, but it's really important that you do this up front to help you going forward. So the order in which I like to keep my instruments is maybe not entirely familiar with everybody. The first few, I'm sure, the majors and the minors, it's pretty straightforward, up to the Kiwi. Then what I do is a bit different here. I like to keep the yen crosses together, whereas a lot of people will jump straight into the euro crosses. And the reason for that is the yen is a more significant trading currency or term currency, if you like, than certainly the euro is. And when it comes, well, certainly historically speaking, when it comes to looking at safe haven instruments, certainly US dollar treasury bills are a safe haven instrument. Likewise, Japanese yen. Whereas the euro is more on the risk side as opposed to the safe haven side. So we like to keep our safe haven currencies together. You'll also see that there's a lot of correlation across the yen pairs. I'm sure you've seen that yourself, and you've seen it in my market reviews. Then I've got the euro crosses. The order in which I keep the other currencies is really just the order that we have them at the top, largely anyway, all the way down to Kiwi Swiss and Kiwi CAD. And that's the top 28 currency pairs. So sort those out in whatever order you wish. I'm just explaining how I do it. That's all good if you want to do it differently. Okay, so that being done, we can move on to the next topic. And again, just a little bit of a recap. We have I've shown you guys how to set up templates a few different ways in the past, and also how to load a brand new chart. So I've shown you how to use this create a new chart button and a few other options. Today I'm going to show you another one where by simply going to the euro US dollar, I'm going to right click on it, and you'll notice that it gives me the option to create a new chart window. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to close down. Actually, no, I'll keep that open. Let's just do that for now. I'm going to maximize this chart. And of course, this is a completely blank chart. So very quickly, I'm going to customize it. I only need to do it once. Right click on a blank area of the chart, go down to properties or hit the F8 key, and that'll bring up my properties customization menu. So there's two tabs. I go to colors. I just really like the black on white, as you guys already know. And under common, I like to have chart shift and auto scroll, which, as you know, are options up there as well. I prefer candlesticks. Ask lines, great, but I don't like the grid. And that's pretty much it. So if we increase that, you can see that that's rather much what you're used to seeing on all of my training. One other thing that I do like to do is to add an indicator, which is a price action based indicator called the average true range. And we're going to start off with setting up on the daily time frame. So I'm going to make it a 21 ATR and scrunch that down to maximize the chart real estate that I've got on my screen. All right, so that being done, I don't think there's much else that I really need to do on this, as that's pretty good as a standard template for me. So I'm going to now just right click again on a blank part of the chart and save this template. And as you can see, I just like to use something like a hashtag or something like that. Just going to save it there. It's already saved, but you just need to save that as a brand new template. And that's something we've actually discussed beforehand. So this is still not getting us into discussion around the profiles, but we are almost there in order to be able to go ahead and do that. So next thing that we need to do then is to make sure that that our initial profile is set up exactly the way we want it. Do we want to have only one time frame, and that's being said only the 1 hour time frame? No, absolutely not. So I'm going to first of all put it onto the daily time frame. But as you know, in the profiles that I use, I like to also have, well, we need to have for our strategies, other time frames as well. First of all, the weekly. So what I'm going to do now is just right click again on the Euro USD and get myself another new chart window. But instead of going through that whole rigmarole, I can just go down to template, and I saved it as a hashtag, and there we have it. Now, instead of it being 1 hour, it needs to be weekly. And you'll see I'm just going to click on the tab at the bottom and drag it to the front. I like to have weekly, daily, and then we're going to do H4 in a minute. The one thing we do need to do with weekly, however, is we need to change the ATR. So we don't want a 21 ATR weekly. We prefer to use a 13. And these are just numbers that have worked well for us over the last many years, and are relatively conservative, but sort of middle ground, really. So I'm going to change that to a 13 ATR on the weekly, and that's now set up and ready to go. Next, I'm going to do the final chart window that we need, which is the H4. Let me just change it to H4 first. And again, right click. Just get this Zoom stuff out of the way. Template. That's my saved template over there, which is just a hashtag. You can choose whatever you want. And there you have it. Bob's your uncle. But again, 21 is not correct for this. We like to use 30. And if you really want to be pedantic about sticking to the Fibonacci progression, then you can make it 34. 30 is the total number of H4 candles in a week. So it would be a rolling week. 34 is not much different from that. Okay, so now we have everything perfectly set up for creating our profiles. You'll notice that I haven't done any other artwork on this. There's no other technical analysis drawings. And the reason for that is because those will belong to the individual profiles. So first thing to do is to save this as a profile for Euro US dollar. So I'm going to click on any one of these profile options. I like the bottom one, and click on Save Profile As, and here it'll bring up a context box or a little Save Profile box. Now, don't just put anything in here. If you would like, and I really recommend that you do this, if you would like to keep your profiles in the same order as your market watch, you must put in a number before the name of the profile. And given the fact that we've got more than 9 profiles that we're going to have, we need to have our first 9 preceded by a 0. So we start off with 0, 1, and Euro USD, and click on OK. And now I have got my first profile under Euro USD. The rest is really, really straightforward. You've created your template. You've also created almost a profile template now as well. All you need to do in order to create another one is you can actually do this either way you like. So if I now go save profile as 02 GBP USD, which is of course the second in the list, and I just need to keep that as caps. I now have GBP USD, but of course this is still showing euro, isn't it? And you can see that on the tabs at the bottom. That's very easy to change. All I need to do is go to each one of these. And by the way, if you want to make your life simpler, you can just tile these vertically. Window, tile vertically, and then you can see all 3 of those. And in order to get them onto the right currency pair, you just click and drag, click and drag, and click and drag. I'm letting go, obviously, on the chart. So here you have it. Those are all 3 of them. So that's done and dusted. I'm going to now actually do it the way I normally do it. So that should be fine. USD JPY, click, drag, and click, drag, and go save profile as 03 USD JPY. Okay. And there you have it. So you can just basically keep on doing that. I'm going to now do dollar Swiss, click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. Save profile as 04 USD CHF. Okay. Now, when you're first doing this, by the way, it's going to, well, because I'm doing this the first time from an absolutely blank template, if you like, there was nothing else here, it's doing it quite right. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. But what if you do have other profiles, or if you create profiles in a different order, it won't have them in alphanumeric or numerical order here right in the beginning. So if you restart the platform, it will reorder it. So let's just go back. Euro USD, there it is. By the way, if you want to scroll through these, you can use Control F5 to scroll down. and Shift F5 to scroll up. Looks like I made a slight mistake there earlier. Just double checking on these. So window tile vertically. Let's just make sure we've got the right currency pair on there. So just the order in which you do that is important. There you have it. Number 3. I just went Control F5, USD JPY, Control F5, USD CHF, and that's as far as we've got. Right, so you need to actually click and drag first. So USD CAD, USD CAD, USD CAD, and then save profile as 05 and USD CAD. And you just keep on doing that basically. So you'll notice that it's saved it under that at the bottom. Next in line, click drag, and click drag. Save profile as 06 AUD USD. And folks, you just keep on doing that until you've got them all. And this will then be there for forever. Once you've got that set up once, you don't actually ever have to do it again. You might want to back up your profiles now and again. That's actually recommended. I do it automatically because I actually transfer my profiles from one machine to another at least once a week, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm traveling or what have you. So it's pretty straightforward to do that, and I'll show you how to do that next. But just carry on doing that until you've got all of the profiles set up in the correct order for all the instruments that you're looking to trade, which of course you set up here with your market watch right in the beginning. Okay, so final step then for you is how to back this up. And the way to do that is to go to our underlying file structure. So click on File up on the menu bar and Open Data Folder, which will open your Windows Explorer in exactly the right place. It's not always that easy to find the MT4 file structure. They do that on purpose. The best way to find it is to do as I've just showed you. Go through File, Open Data Folder. And you'll notice that one of the folders in the main file structure here is called Profiles. If I double click on that, lo and behold, you will see there are the 6 that I've created so far. Once you've done all of them, they will all be there. So all you need to do is to right click and copy this and then paste it anywhere you want. So I could put it into OneDrive, which I normally do because my OneDrive folder is something that all of my devices and computers have access to. So if I then go and just paste this into OneDrive, or you can do it in Dropbox, whatever the case may be, then I will be able to access those profiles from anywhere, and I can load them into any other broker, MT4 broker platform anywhere in the world. It doesn't even have to be the same broker. As long as it is an up-to-date version of MT4, I will be able to access all of those profiles. And by the way, if you have done all of your chart analysis, it will include that as well. So hopefully you can see that this really makes life incredibly easy and also helps you to save all of your technical analysis appropriately. So whatever that might be, and obviously, you know, we would be typically looking at our HDC channels and what have you, all of our waves, trend lines, support and resistance lines, all of that stuff will be saved in each profile separately, and it will be accessible for you in the future. Just one cautionary note, it doesn't save it until you move on to, or you move out of that profile. So it won't save anything you've done on a profile until you move out of that profile. So if your computer crashes before you do that, then unfortunately, whatever drawing work you've done in the interim will actually be lost. And likewise, now and again, it's also good just to close down your MT4 platform and reload it, because that too will help to make sure everything is backed up and saved. Right, folks, so that's pretty much it for profiles, with a bit of recapping on how to get your market watch set up and get your templates done. I would say as well that, I mean, I'm sure you can see that profiles, the use of profiles makes it possible to be very flexible. I'm keeping it quite simple. I do keep my trading as simple as possible, but you are free to do what you want here. Some people will create profiles for individual strategies. There are lower time frame traders will typically only trade 1 to maybe 3 instruments and no more than that if you're trading right down to the very lower time frames, but they may well be using multiple strategies. So they will have a profile for each strategy because they don't have a whole long list of instruments the way we do. And that is certainly advisable if you are trading lower time frame strategies. I wouldn't recommend it, however, on what we do, because it's more important to be able to analyze the different instruments properly. All right, folks. So that being said, I see we've got some questions. Let me jump into that. Okay. Gary's asking, can I send you a list of all the ones that I do trade? Gary, we go through that in a lot of detail in all of the trading. It's the top 28 currency pairs in particular. So if you take the top 8 currencies, which is the euro, the US dollar, the Japanese yen, the British pound, the Swiss franc, the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar, and the New Zealand dollar, and if you mix those 8 currencies together, you come up with 28 currency pairs. And that's right there in that market watch, which you can see right now, and in all of our market reviews, it's visible. So we're focusing on those 28 currency pairs right now. If you want to add anything else on top of that, then as I said earlier, gold would be the first thing, not silver, and then oil, certainly the most liquid oil instrument that you can get hold of. So either Brent or US oil or CL oil. But just one of those. And then after that, you could certainly look at the S&P 500 as an index, but trade those in a bullish direction with the core strategies only. And then after that, you can start looking at things like coffee and what have you. But I really wouldn't recommend you jumping into those initially. By the time you do that, you won't be asking me that question anymore. So hopefully that helps. Terry's saying your market watch reorganized itself alphabetically. How do you get back to my setup as per recommendation? Terry, that's interesting. I would have to look into that because mine doesn't. I've no idea why it would do that. You may have a setting that allows that to happen. I haven't seen that happen for a long time, to be honest. You can also save your market watch, if I remember correctly, as a, or maybe that's gone. By the way, on the market watch as well, something I didn't do here was a quick customization. You do also want to see your spread, and that would just open up as a third column. Right. It's a pleasure, Muna. Peter's asking what to do if my platform doesn't keep my toolbar settings. It sounds like you got a similar issue as to Terry. So if you go to, well, let's actually go to our tool. If you right click on any one of the toolbars, you should have these all checked, basically. So make sure that you do that, bring it up. You can customize that to your heart's content as well in detail. But you really need to make sure that each one of these is checked. The other thing to remember is that if by default you're going to full screen, there we go. And here you can also toggle in and out of those, by the way. Full screen is F11. That will make those disappear. So just go to view and exit full screen, basically, by doing that. That will certainly, that is probably the most common cause of that happening. You're welcome. That's absolutely fine. So once again, folks, remember that if you are struggling to set up your MT4 platform, we do have a full training session on that. If there's any questions that you still want to ask on that, please do drop them into the comments below. And likewise for this one. So feel free to ask. And if there's any common issue that's coming up, I'm absolutely happy to do a more detailed training session for you guys. All right, folks, no more questions then. I hope that that's been very useful for you. Make the most of these profiles. They really do make a big difference in terms of making your life easier, saving you time, and helping you to get through your technical analysis much more quickly. It's very important that trading should not be another day job for you. And in fact, it's very often a night job for most people. So you want to minimize the amount of time that you need to spend on it. That's the beauty of trading, is the amount of time you spend on it doesn't determine how much money you make. Right. So folks, please do go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done that already. And to be notified of any of our latest training, make sure you've hit that little notifications bell. All right, perfect. Great, guys. I hope that's been useful. For members, we are doing the next training session tomorrow on advanced price action technical analysis. We're moving on to part 4, which is the determination of impulse waves or phase 1 waves, and a discussion around how absolutely critical they are in our technical analysis in every way. All right, super. Carry on, folks, with your challenge trading. Keep your head on screwed on straight. Make sure you stay consistent. Don't look for things that aren't there. You're welcome. All right, folks. God bless. Bye for now.